Welcome to another episode of Exit Philosophy. He's Mal, I'm Griff, and there's a lot going on and a lot that's going to be happening down the stretch. But first, I'd like to say happy birthday to my daughter, Kelly.
Yay.
She's in Ottawa, and she does media. She learned from me. She does media for the Ottawa Blackjacks, and she did some for the junior hockey championship last year, and they invited her back. I think she's going to go to Minnesota for that. So she probably did better than I did in that
No
job.
question.
But
Well, I
happy
wonder
birthday.
how she's surviving without Ironbacks games to keep her entertained and watch
Yeah,
your
I know.
follies
Like
at night.
the biggest critic of Ironback telecasts in a good way.
Yeah, that's right. I looked forward to her game recaps every day.
And also, earlier in the week, a happy birthday to my grandson, Brett. I'm going to go out and see his OBA championship game at 2 o'clock. It's the beginning of the tournament, and hopefully they get through to the finals on Sunday. But happy birthday to Brett. And also, Kelly, being a subscriber, reminds me that I should thank all of our
Not
subscribers.
just Kelly.
And again, if you enjoy the podcast, like, share, leave a review, and let your friends know about it. Anyway, a lot to talk about with the Blue Jays and with Major League Baseball. But let's first talk about the Pirates series, losing 2 out of 3 against maybe the second worst team in the National League, and throw the White Sox in, and it's one of the 3 worst teams. But they had some huge arms coming out of the bullpen, and they had Paul Skeens going in the first game. But we got to talk about Tommy Pham and his dust up with Tyler Heineman with a bat flip on ball 4. What did you think of that at the moment and in hindsight?
You know what? Tommy is his own unique guy, right? I will say this. There's a real hate for Tommy Pham right now, and I get it. And he's Tommy Pham. He's a bit of a douche. It's probably why he doesn't stick around too long in any one spot. But I kind of enjoy watching some guys like that give a little flair and character to the game without having to worry about him in my clubhouse type thing. So, Tommy just goes too far. He just seems like he has trouble controlling his emotions at times. Um, and you know, it was obviously ludicrous that there's no, you know what, the bat flip I don't even mind if he's doing his little thing with pissed off at Heineman. Just keep going to first base. That's all you had to do. Just keep going to first base and everything's fine. But he looks for confrontation, and you know, you're going to find it when you look for it. So, you know, rather absurd. And again, he's not the type of guy that collects himself after and just goes, "Oh shit, overreacted," because he continues to do it as he will do it right now if somebody asked him about it. It is something to see.
Yeah, and to me, I mean, basically, you said it before. He's simply a douche, and the fact of a tough childhood, a tough upbringing, is not an excuse. I mean, there's a lot of people who overcome that. He came from he was raised by a single mother. His father was in jail, but you know, there's a lot of redemption stories that come out of that, and Tommy Pham is not one of them. I think there's a reason that after being drafted by the Cardinals and playing in that organization for 11 years, that he has been with 9 major league teams in the last 8 seasons. There's a reason for that. There's a reason he's always available at the trade deadline. And at this trade deadline, nobody came calling, even though he says that Max Scherzer told him that Jays were interested and Max recommended him. You know, that's coming from his mouth, so we're not sure about the veracity of it. But, you know, you talk about his history, and he was confrontational with Luke Voigt back in the day. Then he went out pregame and slapped Jock Peterson across the face for a tweet about his fantasy football league. And then he made gestures. He responded to a fan in Anaheim. And I know fans, especially with minority players, can be vicious and stupid. but still, that's not a reason to do that sort of thing. So the history of Tommy Pham means he's going to be looking for another team next year, 37 years old. God bless him. I don't know if he's going to find one, but yeah, as far as the bat flip, fine, but head to first base, go to first base. Don't turn around and start walking back towards the catcher who has no idea what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, he was looking for it.
The MRI on Vlad's hamstring could have been worse. It's inflammation of the left hammy. They're talking about him being ready for Friday in Miami, probably as a DH, I would imagine. Do you think that will affect the way that Vlad plays first base? I mean, he's so athletic. Will it cut into his big stretches and maybe cost him an out every now and then?
I don't know if his big stretches get him an out, to be honest with you. I always thought they're rather performative and unnecessary. When you stretch that far, you're actually top half of your body comes back, not towards the ball. So I'd hope he does stop some of that complete stretch thing, but I don't think it'll change anything. I'm guessing it was just a tweak. Um, Giving him a couple days, 3 days off, I think he'll be good to go. I think Vladdy just plays with that kind of enthusiasm that I don't think he could stop anyways if he wanted to. So unless he's DHing. So
So
I think it's just full.
there's a little bit of performance art in terms of looking at a second Gold Glove, which he got one a couple of years ago, but the coaches and managers vote, and when they see a couple of stretches in a game where he scoops the ball and does something that nobody else can do
Yeah,
physically,
yeah,
that makes an impact. But
yeah,
I
sure. If
mean,
he's thinking
yeah,
about Gold Gloves, but
he's consistent with that. But they need him for his bat, not really for his glove. So.
that's very, very, very true. So, yeah, I think if there's any issue, if this thing is a real injury, I don't mean it's not like a real concern, he will DH tomorrow and not play first base. I'm guessing this is just a little back him off. He's good to go though, and he's fully healthy.
How about the mere fact of losing 2 out of 3 to the Pirates? What's your impression about that?
Well, I think it's baseball, and again, I know we've talked about it, and I think we'll talk about it again about what the Jays need to do, and if they do this, if they play 500, it's just not that simple. This team's a different team on the road than they are at home as well. Very, very different look, very different outcomes. Nothing is given, and the Pirates shouldn't be as bad as they are. As coming into the season, they've got some real pitchers on that other side, and man, like it just feels like they just mismanage that roster all the time. But hey, there's no guarantees coming down the stretch that you're gifted wins in this league. Um, so perhaps that's kind of a wake-up call that they need to see. You're not rolling into Colorado and putting up, 12,
45 runs.
yeah, right? So maybe that's a bit the wake-up call, and you can have trouble with some dominant pitchers. There's no question about it. It's the equalizer.
Yeah, you're expecting to have difficulty with Paul Skeens in the opener of the series, but then all of a sudden they start wheeling guys out of the bullpen with bad ERAs that are throwing harder than Skeens. You go,
No kidding.
wow, yeah,
Nicholas and yeah,
yeah. What is
it,
wrong with these guys?
it
But
does make you wonder because they're very impressive when they when they step on the mound.
But one thing about the Blue Jays is if you have a bullpen full of guys with command issues, the Jays might not allow you to reach that deep into counts where you see the command issues. They attack early.
They do.
And, and sometimes all the guy needs to do is throw 1 out of the first 3 in the zone, and he's got an out, or something happens either with a hit or
Yeah.
an out. So,
Yeah.
the Jays aren't a true gauge of the effectiveness of a guy who's got command problems.
Yeah, and that's kind of
So,
like to see a little more guys grind at bats as we get down to the nitty gritty here, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just not who they are.
Because late in the last month, I would say the Jays have faced more 1 and 2 starters, the type of guys that they will see in the postseason regularly, and the results have been mixed. They will need their starting pitchers to keep them in games regularly, and then grind out some runs against these top starting pitchers. That's how you win in the playoffs, and that's why we both agree that a home run ball is so important in the postseason, because one swing of the bat and you could change the balance of a very close ball game.
It is, and that's the one thing kind of that as you get into the playoffs against good starting pitching, the home run ball kind of stays static. Like it doesn't disappear as much as base hits and things like that. It's just, you know, when you have a team that swings for the fences, or that power seems to stay sometimes, even against good pitchers. So, um, this team really does. They're a 1 through 9 base hit, move the runner type, team. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see.
I've also found in the last 10 days or last 22 games, because they're one game under 500 in the last 23. So they're 11 and 12 in the last 23 games, came after a heater that saw them go to 22 games above 500 at one point. So,
yeah.
But the thing about the offense is that all of a sudden, not as many of the support players are doing the job as well. You still have Vlad doing the job. You still have Bo. But guys that have fallen off, like Nathan Lucas and other guys, and they need to step it back up going down the stretch, or the rotation, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, needs to step it up. But the one thing about the panic of seeing the Yankees in the rearview mirror, for 4 games behind the Blue Jays as we speak, and you were confident that the Yankees would bounce back, and so far it looks like you're exactly right. I mean, as we speak, they've won 5 in a row. They have 14 home runs in the last 2 games, which the Jays could only dream about.
Yeah.
But what did you see, even when they were struggling, to think that they would be back?
Well, their offense is easily the best offense. Like once it gets going, and you get this version of Giancarlo Stanton, which we've seen before, it's frightening. So their offense is clearly 1 through 9, way better than anybody else's. And in fairness, I really love what they did with the back end of the bullpen. That being said, they're just out hitting that right now, because even that hasn't really come to fruition at this point. Like Bednar blew a game inning, who I really like as well. Williams was not exactly 1, 2, 3 in the extra innings. So
they had second and third, tying run on second and third, nobody out, and he
nobody
struck
out.
out the side. Yeah, he
Yeah.
struck out the side at that
Well,
point.
after he put them on at second.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And gave up a run. So I mean, it's their offense, and they can just mash you to death. And whether that plays in the playoffs, I don't know. But I'm just confident they're going to make a run at this thing, and force their way back. And it's not going to be Jays in a walk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And speaking of the schedule and the Yankees and the Red Sox, as you know, I've pointed to 90 wins as a key number for the Blue Jays to get to. And, that avoids the daily panic after a loss of, oh my God, what's going on? They're only 4 games ahead of the Yankees. But here's the bottom line on it. And the analysis is that 90 wins will assure you a playoff spot, but
It will.
it doesn't necessarily assure you the division. Now, if the Jays go 16 and 18 the rest of the way, they reach 90 wins. So if that's the target for the other teams, the Red Sox would need to go 22 and 13, and the Yankees would need to go 21 and 15. 21 and 15, the Yankees have a stretch where they're playing Palookas. They're playing the Twins. They're playing the White Sox for 4. They're playing teams that are nowhere near being in it, never were. And so that's the stretch of games that you have to be careful with. But they also play the Red Sox 7 times. So, and that's starting with a weekend series this weekend. So one of them is going to lose,
Right.
clearly.
Yeah,
That's
clearly.
Griff baseball 101.
No ties in baseball.
One of them is going to lose.
Yeah,
So if they split, that might be not a bad thing. You know, four and three, 3-4, whatever. That might be the best
it
um,
is.
result for the Blue Jays. So it's really in the hands of the Blue Jays. 16-18 is a modest number down the stretch. They've only got 12 games against contending teams, teams that have a chance for the wild card, 12 out of 34 games. So the schedule favors. I know that the Pirates showed that you can't take anything for granted, but it's in their hands. So
Oh,
if the one of the Red Sox or Yankees passes the Jays at 90, and they need to win 91 because the Jays have the tiebreaker against both those teams. So they would need to win 91. If they both won 90, the Blue Jays would get the tiebreaker and win the division. So if one of them passes the Jays, then 3 out of the remaining 4 teams that are above 500 would have to get 90 wins, get to 90 wins. And the Royals, I consider in that group because they're above 500. They need to go 25-10. The Guardians need to go 26-10. The Mariners need to go 22-12. And the Astros or Mariners is going to win that division. So the 3 division winners leave 5 contenders for 3 wildcard spots. And that,
yeah.
to me, that's the worst case scenario, is that the Jays enter the playoffs as a wild card if they reach 90. But there's a good chance that they win the division at 90. And if they go 17-17, that's 91 wins. That makes it even more difficult. So
Yeah.
it's in their hands.
They're clearly in the driver's seat. They've done all the work to get here. It's in their hands. The only thing is, just that you can't discount 13-20. It's not impossible to
Yeah,
win
well, that's
more
it. I
games
mean, they
than you
showed
win.
they
Like,
showed that's a possibility. The only thing about that is the rotation. Like, can you see with the 5 starters and Eric Lauer as a 6th guy, can you see that group going into a lengthy slump, going into a losing streak?
and that's why I absolutely love the Shane Bieber move. I think that if Bieber is what he's looked like so far, no, I can't. Like it is hard to fathom. That guy's a stud, man. Like that was the home run swing that I wanted them to take. Like I said, I didn't like the bullpen moves so much when they did them. It wasn't enough. But the Bieber move was exactly the one you got to try and take with this team. And I'm pretty excited to watch him pitch. Like if he is anything close to Shane Bieber, you're right. I mean, how it's hard to process with that rotation. You're always going to give yourself a chance to win games. They're just going to keep you in it. Process them losing a whole bunch of ball games in a row when you got a rotation that seemingly that good.
All right, here's the rotation segment that we'll talk about. Bieber is finally going to start on Friday. He
Yep.
could have, to me, he could have started in the major leagues his last start, but he went to Buffalo through 97 pitches and was outstanding.
Yep.
So he's going into Friday. He's got the adrenaline of being back in the major leagues, back on the mound with a contender. And then he's followed by Jose Barrios and Kevin Gausman in Miami. And there's not talk. Eric Lauer is currently not scheduled in the rotation. So John Schneider took exception to the question of is he skipping a start. And even Chris Bassett after the game, after his game
Very
in
defensive.
Pittsburgh, very defensive about Lauer, very defensive, not mentioning the name of Shane Bieber in terms of talking about the rotation. So it seemed he was, and he's a very emotional guy. We know that. But there are different ways to read into his reaction post game. What was your read into that?
I don't think he's a real fan of whatever the plan is, and I think he's also going to bat for his boy Lauer and their rotation. And Bassett's kind of like that's him. Like these are my boys, and we got us here, and that's kind of who he's a feisty, fiery guy, and I'm not sure he's happy with any adjustment to what they're doing right now. Um, and he was clear he was defending Lauer, and they're trying to tell you that Lauer is not been moved to the bullpen, which is absolute bullshit because he clearly has been. I mean, I don't care what.
Well, wait a sec.
Come
Okay,
on.
go ahead.
He,
Go ahead.
he's not making his start, Griff. He got skipped.
But that's not being moved to the bullpen. That's having extra days between starts.
He had 10 of them. So then he wouldn't be in the bullpen. You'd give him an extra bit of rest. Like they're trying to deflect, like they don't want to admit that
Okay.
they're not they're trying to protect Lauer and not to suggest like they don't want that out there that he's kind of been somehow demoted and what even though that wouldn't be
Yeah.
they're
Okay.
massaging it and I mean you obviously see it differently but come on man what's wrong with just saying temporarily he'll be back in the rotation even though they kind
That's
of
what he said.
yeah but he's in the bullpen.
No, he's not. He's got extra days between starts, so that means he's available
He's
to
available.
pitch.
Yes.
All right, here's Griff's
This is
solution to the rotation problem. And you know that
PR guys in us arguing about how you word the damn thing.
I've sent 3 different 6-man rotation plans to the coaches.
They might get to it eventually.
Well, this one is the final one because there's only 34 games left in the season. So
and you might save it.
This is my solution,
Okay.
which is a modified 6-man rotation because Lauer, for the moment, is available out of the pen.
He's available in the pen. Yes, correct.
But he's not in the bullpen.
No.
He's just available.
I wonder where he'll be sitting when the game starts tomorrow night.
He'll be having a coffee in the clubhouse, and they'll
Sure.
call in and say, "Hey, are you available?"
I'm available if you need me. Don't call me, but I'm available.
So here it is.
Okay.
You go Bieber, Barrios, Gausman, and then they play Minnesota. So they go Scherzer, Bassett, and then Lauer gets into the rotation on the 27th, the final day of the Minnesota series, because with my plan, with my outline, nobody pitches on their 5th day. And don't tell me, oh, it takes them out of their routine. Well, the day after you pitch, do your running, whatever you need to do, and then in the middle of this, just take a day and stay in the training room longer or sleep in longer. They want to say that they want the ball every 5th day. And I asked Barrios, and I keep saying it, if Barrios is my barometer of what these pitchers need, and you say he's gassed.
Well, I didn't say he was gassed. I said he looks like he needs a day. That's for sure.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I asked him, if you get to 32 starts with an extra day rest, is that good? And he went, yes, that would be good. So if Barrios is saying that, who hasn't missed a start in 7 years, then I would think it would be good for Gausman, who came out of the All-Star break and claimed that he was refreshed by that extra rest.
And
So
all these guys could be available out of the bullpen on their shoulder.
No, don't make fun of me now. Here we go.
I'm not making fun of you, but I'm making fun of them. Let's put it that way.
So
I agree with you. I like the extra days, but Bassett clearly is not that. Maybe that.
No, Bassett was not a big fan of that.
And they are routine guys. Let's
Yeah.
face it. Like these guys are routine oriented.
But anyway, let me finish this and then we'll get back to Bassett again.
Yeah.
So with this rotation setup going down the stretch, and they've got 19 games in the last 20 days. So definitely they'll go to a 6-man at that point, and Lauer will get his starts during that final 20-game stretch. And once you get to the last weekend, if they've already clinched, they can set up the rotation any way they want. But if they're in first place, top 2 team, they're going to have the break of the not playing the wild card round. So that would be good. They can really set up a rotation.
Why do you? Okay.
Go ahead.
Why
What?
do you say they'll definitely go to 6 man though? Why won't they just put Lauer in the bullpen?
Because they believe that the extra day is necessary, is good to set up
Okay. I
for the
hope so.
playoffs.
I hope
And
so.
also, finishing that explanation is that if they stayed with a 5-man rotation, given the off days, the most that one starter would get 7 starts and every other starter would get 6 starts. So under this Griff's modified plan, four of the starters get 6 starts, and two starters, including Eric Lauer, get 5 starts with an extra day, with at least one extra day. And the reason that I think Bassett might, and also going against Milwaukee, it would be Bieber, Gosman, and Scherzer, the way that it plays out. And then going into Yankee Stadium a week later would be Bieber, Gosman, and Scherzer. Those are two teams that you want to beat. And really, those 3 starters are going to be in some order at the top of your playoff rotation.
And you really want that going into New York. You do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the series, right?
You want your marquee guys in the marquee ballpark against a marquee team. Yeah. That's how you measure yourself. And they already have the tiebreaker against the Yankees, but they need to show themselves that they can dominate a good playoff contending team like they will need to do against Milwaukee when Milwaukee comes in later in the week.
And I would assume that, excuse me, that pitcher getting the 7 starts in the other scenarios, Bieber, seeing as he's going first Friday.
Yeah, that would be because he'd pitched the last day of the season, right? Which he wouldn't do if they had already clinched the spot because they'll need to set up the rotation. So.
Correct.
Or he might pitch like an inning or 2.
Yeah.
But he would get 6 starts, and everybody else would get 6 starts, except for said Bassett would get 5, and Lauer would get 5. And that brings us back to Bassett. And I don't know why everybody's so high on Bassett and so down on Jose Barrios.
Well, we know why. It's just, again, what have you done for me lately? And Barrios is looking like he's not as sharp as he's been, right?
But you look at their season-long numbers, and if you give him a breather, if you give them all a breather going down the stretch and give them an extra day, maybe Barrios gets wind in his sails again down the stretch and is ready for the postseason. But right now, if you look at the numbers for Bassett and Barrios, you could throw a blanket over them. They're the same pitcher. They're the same numbers. So why is everybody saying that Barrios should be not on the playoff roster? Here's a guy who has 3 more years on his contract with an opt-out after 26. You leave him off the playoff roster, you're guaranteed a disgruntled 26 and opting out.
I agree. Like I given the choice, and that does matter. If they're the same type of guy, like you said, throw a blanket over him. You've got to take care of Barrios. You've got to believe in him because you need him to stick around, and there's reasons to stick around now for him as opposed to maybe years past. So that factors in. Bassett's done.
This is not fantasy league.
No,
where you can just bring Bassett back next year if you want or leave him off. Bassett would be gone if he's left off the playoff roster, but he's gone anyway. He's a free agent, and he's at his age. They're not going to sign him to a 3-year deal. And with all the studs that they have coming up, Alek Manoah,
and they don't need to.
Yeah, right. Alek Manoah pitched 4 2/3 innings in Buffalo, gave up 1 run and threw 57 pitches. He was maybe 70 pitches on Wednesday night. So who knows whether he'll be in the plans, but they've got Trey Savage already at AAA. They definitely need to re-sign or to extend Bieber.
Right. That's correct. That's the magic, that's the big question right there. So that you got to get him in here, have success, have him love it, and want to be a part of this thing.
Yeah, so far it seems he is, and well, if he's healthy and has success, and we both you and I agree that Tommy John is not a shadow hanging over you, especially 16 months after the surgery when you're still 29, 30 years old. I mean, he has every chance in the
Yeah.
world to be as
The
good as he
the
was
only
before.
yeah, the only issue would be command, just getting that back. As far as his health, there's no issue at all. It's just getting your command back and feeling comfortable with, you throwing again. And
That's probably why they gave him all of the extra 2 starts at AAA to
yeah,
allow for the command. I mean, the stuff was there, but he seemed to be commanding his both of his last 2 starts at Buffalo and getting his pitch count up as high as it did.
yeah.
I know that there's less stress at AAA than there is in the majors, but if he can get through 6 or 7 innings in the start on Friday, and having had an off day with a fresh bullpen, that'll be it. And with Lauer available, just available,
That's right.
it's all good.
It is all good. Best case scenario, but you got to be looking forward to that start, man. It's one of the most exciting starts from anybody. Time. It's the David Price-esque type thing,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I mean, it's almost like the Scherzer start, um,
Yeah.
when it was a matchup of star players, maybe future Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
So here's my playoff outlook, and I know we're looking ahead maybe a little too far, although
You got to do it.
yeah, I mean, what did I say? 14 and 16, 16 and 18 is what the Jays. If they go 17 and 17, that's 91 wins. Makes it even tougher for them to get bumped. It can't happen if they go 17 and 17. So for my playoffs, the rotation, if they skip, if they're finished behind the Tigers or ahead of the Tigers and get the first round bye, I'd go Gausman, Scherzer, off day, Bieber, Barrios, Gausman in 3, 4, and 5. Then off day and finish up in game 6 and 7 with Scherzer and Bieber. I don't think you can beat that rotation. I mean, in terms of this group setting it up.
So you skip Gosman?
No, Gausman game
Or
1, Gausman game 5.
oh, game 5. That's right.
Yeah. So on
Yeah.
regular rest, 1, 2, 3 on regular rest, and then off day, then Scherzer and Bieber down in the 2 games at really crunch time.
I mean, I love that. I guess the only question for me is what kind of Shane Bieber do you get? If he's looking like that guy, is he not get bumped up to the 1 spot? I mean, I love your plan. I mean, but just food for thought. Is he not your number 1 if he looks like your number 1?
Well, no, because if he pitches game 3, he's going game 7, and game 7 is crunch time.
So you may not get there. Is my point.
Yeah.
Like, you could
Well, that's the attitude. And my bullpen would be Hoffman, Lauer, Little, Varland, Dominguez, Sandlin, Wyrod, and I would bring Fisher back into the mix as the 8th guy in the pen.
No Fluharty?
No Fluharty.
Okay.
Either Fluharty or Little. But Little has earned the chance to be there, even though he's scatterguns a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a thing where you see how it plays out over the next month. But
yeah, I mean, if one of those guys is not healthy, then you got
or
Fluharty.
Sharp, or one blows up in September or whatever,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, no. I think they're in good shape, man. You got to like the way they're positioned right now. That rotation, like we're arguing whether you want Gausman or Bieber. Like, who's doing that?
If Bieber or if any of them don't hold up down the stretch in September,
It makes it awesome.
then you got Bassett. You got Bassett to jump in. Otherwise, you leave him off the 26-man roster. Having a guy like that with those credentials in reserve is a pretty good dilemma. I mean, a lot of times your 5th starter will go to the bullpen and never be used in a key role. But with the fact of what's been happening in the postseason over the last 15 years, with bullpens being so important and logging so many innings, Lauer becomes a key member there. I mean, if he can go 3 innings in a close game and hold the other team, and then you come back and win the game. That's a huge significance, you know?
I'm still trying to figure out where he came from. Like, how is he here and this good? Like, it's just it's that year, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you pick up some tips in the in Asia in the Pacific Rim baseball, and you bring them back and you incorporate them. I don't think he's got that
And you work with Pete
little
Walker.
hesitation,
You
that
work with
hitch that a lot of those guys have when they come back. But
That's right. You work with the great Pete Walker, and you're already ahead of the game.
yeah, well, it's not 100%
It's not.
true.
There are
But
some failures in there. Even he would tell you that.
oh my God. Um, and then I love it when a guy like Kikuchi goes to another team and they go, "Oh, well, we've got him throwing more sliders, and clearly he wasn't being used
Yeah.
properly." I'm sure that pisses Pete and
Oh,
the Jays staff off tremendously.
yeah. 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 No question. But he has pitched well, our boy, you say.
Yeah, he made the All-Star team,
Yeah.
but he also ran into somebody coming out of the dugout, so that streak continues.
So any future successes, be
Right.
careful.
Now I want to talk about the commissioner Rob Manfred's appearance in the booth
Ugh.
at the Little League World Series Classic, and his just out of the blue talking about expansion and realignment. And I always think, no matter, you've said it, he chooses his words, he chooses his time. Why would he choose that moment to talk about expansion and realignment?
Well, and again, as you know, and you're the one, like what's like when Shapiro speaks, people just kind of act like it's an off the cuff conversation. No, these things are decided in advance, and there's a reason they're speaking. There's a reason Manfred chose the biggest platform of the season, possibly from a television standpoint, and a game like that to float this out there. And you've mentioned this, and it's correct. I mean, this is all coming ahead of labor negotiations too. So it's all coming. So these are all part moving forward and getting ready for battle with the players. And expansion is going to be part of the topic. And whether you deem these as carrots to certain people or he's just floating things out there to get it in the consciousness of people because the battle's coming, and the more issues out there, the more things you can talk about. I just think he's floated this for a reason, right? Um,
What do you think, the bone or the carrot on the stick, the bone that he's tossing to the dogs? What do you think that bone is? Is it the fact that there'll be 80 new jobs with
yeah,
expansion?
more money in the system from two new expansion teams and 80 more jobs. Sometimes I think Manfred is misguided in his viewpoints, though.
Oh, sometimes?
Well, all the time. I'm not a fan. You know that.
Yeah.
He like anything. He's represents a lot of the downsides of our society, and how I feel politically about the 1%. They're just concerned about profits. That's all he's concerned about. And I think Manfred is not really looking after what's best for the game, but best for the next 5 years on bottom line profits. And I struggle with that. And you know I think look at the expansion talk. I mean, you get a lot of traditionalists already who are up in arms about the potential loss of American League and National League and the
Yeah.
absurdity of some of the conversations there. So
Well, before we get into that, I laughed out loud at part of what he said, and he talked about, uh, why wouldn't it be better not to wake up or not to stay up and watch Boston at Anaheim instead
yeah,
of two West Coast teams? And he goes, think about all the travel time that the players would be saving. He thinks he's throwing them a bone when I've never heard the four words, "Are we there yet?" on a flight.
no, the
It's
longer the
bring
flight,
me
the better
another
it
drink,
is.
bring
You
me more food.
do you know how well we traveled
Oh,
on that plane? It was
oh
the
God.
longer the flight, the more I enjoyed it. Let's put
Yeah.
it that way.
So he's misguided in that regard. And it was a stupid comment to make about, all the travel time they're saving. Would you rather save an hour and land in Cincinnati, or spend the extra hour flying and land in New York?
Right.
I
And
mean,
I'll also tell you as a fan, there was a bit of a badge of honor, and I love West Coast games. I love the West Coast trip, just knowing that the games didn't start till 10 o'clock. It was kind of exciting. It was like, you've got this game. It's the old after dark thought, like, oh, I'm going to stay up late and watch my ball team. Like, I think fans enjoy that. Now, in the postseason, is it a pain in the arse? Yes. But they find ways to start the games earlier on the COVID. They delay them on the East anyways when they're on late. So I mean, come
yeah,
on,
I would think that once you get to the second round and you go to the West Coast games in the playoffs, and they start at 8 o'clock, 8:30 Eastern time, bet the under, because every stadium has shadows across the field, and the
terrible.
pitchers have a huge advantage for the first 4 innings, and they're just throwing darts, and the hitters can't see as well. And yeah, it's not optimum, but I'm with you. I loved being on the West Coast, and back in the day, it was two trips, two swings through
That's right.
California. It was
That's right.
like San Diego, L.A., San Francisco, usually in that order. Um, and it was twice, and you looked forward to those trips.
You really did. Even as a
So,
fan,
so Rob Manfred doesn't know what he's talking about. Um, expansion, two
opposed to
teams.
the whole. What's that?
Expansion, two cities. I say Nashville and Salt Lake City have the inside track.
Oh, I agree with you. I think Nashville's 100% at the front of the line. Um, Now, here, look, we're a ways away from it, though. I mean, you have to figure out what's going on with the A's, right?
And Tampa.
And Tampa. Tampa cannot. They've got to figure out what's going on there. So again, why did he do this now,
Yeah,
Griff?
right. Again.
Again, like, come on. We're not even. This isn't even. We're not even talking this decade. I'm guessing. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
this
Well,
this
because the last few expansions have included a buffer year at least before you even get on the field.
right.
So even if they did it in 29, where some of the issues might have been resolved, like the Vegas stadium being ready and the Athletics moving in, and hopefully for the Rays, them getting a stadium situation ironed out, that wouldn't be before 28, and then you got the buffer. So I would say 30 or 31 would be realistic about expansion.
Right. So if you're wondering, like, as if they're off the cuff comments, come on, it's 2025 on a
Yeah,
big stage. He's floating it
and
out
it's
there.
a Little
Now,
League World Series. Like it's a Little League World Series game
yeah,
with and I don't remember anybody asking that question. He just brought it up.
yeah. You think maybe it was a talking point? Yeah. Now, that being said, I am kind of intrigued by realignment just in general. I think there's probably better ways to go at how the league schedule is done and the divisions. I think there's nothing wrong with a change for excitement and just maybe improving travel a touch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But but the idea, well, I see it. Like, who knows? People are floating it out there. Like, this, do not have it's just the goofiest, most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. You know, I mean,
Well, I think Mets, Yankees, same division. Angels, Dodgers, same division. It makes no sense at all, because even Philly and Baltimore, or Washington and Baltimore, same division. Because part of the reason that you wanted interleague play was so that fans from other cities could see the superstars from other
right.
cities. Now, if you're Chicago White Sox, Chicago Cubs, and you're in the same division, you were always able to see the stars from the Cubs. If you're a White Sox fan, just get on the subway and go up to the north side.
Yeah.
So like that makes no sense. That defeats the purpose of what interleague was originally all about. And I think the way it is now, with a team coming in every 2 years and you going to their place every 2 years, is ideal at this point. But
Agreed. And the last thing I want is a whole bunch of games against my crosstown rivals. I mean, nobody
Right.
fans don't want that.
Yeah.
That-
In
You
terms
don't want
of
that.
realigning the divisions, I'm not opposed to that, but I think rather than 8 4-team divisions, that 4 8-team divisions, because back in '69 or
Yep.
whenever, it was 6 teams and it worked out fine. And what the playoff format to me would be is you got American League East, American League West, and the winner of each division gets a bye, and the next 4 teams are wild card teams in the standings, so you can be 3 teams from one division and one
Yep.
from the other, and then they play to meet the 2 division winners.
Yeah,
Simple.
that makes sense to me. You don't want the NFL model where you got teams winning divisions at 81 and 81. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean, we
Plus, plus, if you go 8 4-team divisions in the East, you're gonna bunch at least 3 teams. It's just inevitable that you'd bunch 3 teams that are all among the top 10 in payroll, and like that means they have the most star players. So the rest of America and Canada wouldn't get to see those guys, because they're
right.
all bunched in one division, and that's the power division, really. Even though they
Yeah.
don't always win the World Series,
It's
over
the S
162 games, they're usually dominant.
yeah, the SEC.
Right, the SEC of MLB.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, so the agreement here is that he didn't need to go there, Manfred, um, and we talk about, we haven't even mentioned Montreal and that possibility,
Yeah.
but their ownership, that city is on the downswing in terms of, it seems to me, in terms of money, in
Yeah.
terms of possible luxury suite holders. Doesn't even have a stadium or a stadium site. Stephen Bronfman and Mitch Garber haven't even surfaced in the last year in terms of interest. And Mitch Garber bought a big stake in the Seattle Kraken, the hockey team. So there's no ownership group,
And
no stadium site, and Olympic
throw in
City.
the political nonsense going on
Yeah.
right now and the value of the dollar and like it just
Plus, the elephant in the room is the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays now own the country. Do you think they would want another major league team to come in and share the country's interest in fandom? No. I mean, basically, I remember back in 1990 when Claude Brochu's group took over the Expos, and they pulled back on the television rights across the country, and they concentrated on Montreal TV, on reestablishing the television property of the Expos in Montreal. And then the idea from Claude Brochu is that once that was reestablished, they would go back out and go across the country. But all of a sudden, when they tried that, the Jays had already locked up everybody across the country and said, you're not leaving Montreal. You are a local team now. And
yeah.
that was part of them being screwed and disappearing and going down the road to Washington, because their TV, they had pulled back the horns on their television and broadcast, and they weren't allowed to leave because the Blue Jays corralled them.
Right.
And so, like, why would the Blue Jays approve of, and the Blue Jays even voted for contraction in 2002. Yeah.
That's right.
I've never forgiven them for that, even though I worked for them for 4 years. One thing, moving on, one thing we forgot to do last week is congratulations to Owen Caissie of Burlington.
Yes, yes. Fieldhouse Pirate Owen Caissie.
The which?
Fieldhouse Pirates.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
The Fieldhouse
that's
Pirates. Right. In fact, I think he became the first Burlington-born player since 2001 or 1901 to play in the major leagues.
Yes.
No. Yeah, maybe. I think that was it.
Born.
So,
yeah.
Our Niagara Ironbacks had 4 Burlington-born players. That's either a bad sign for them, or they could build on Owen.
It's just starting. It's just starting. They're next.
Right. It'll be a wave.
Well, but and that being said, Griff, Owen Caissie is exactly the type of player the Ironbacks are looking for. And as we move along, that's what you're going to see in Niagara is those that type the best that we have to offer.
Yeah. Well, Alex Keane
That's
isn't from
that's the
Burlington, but
design. So he's already
Alex
there.
Keane and Owen Caissie
Yeah.
are similar.
Okay. Yes. I like
Yeah.
potentially. Like they have very similar profiles. They're
Yeah.
very, very big, strong boys, and they can hit.
Let's go. Astros. Are they in trouble? They lost Josh Hader, and they're being caught by the Mariners, even though the Mariners aren't on fire.
Yeah, they're in trouble. I mean, losing Hater was the big kicker, right? Um, isn't he blaming being pushed too hard here?
Yeah, he's blaming having to go 4 outs or more, when in fact in San Diego, recall that that was part of his deal when he went there. I only pitched 1 inning, and now he's blaming having to go four, and never again will he do that.
Ugh,
Cry me a river.
geez, that's what you want. That's a team player right there. But
Yeah,
yeah, they're in trouble. The Mariners also with what they did to get to where they are. Um, you've got to like their additions. I don't know. They just seem like a really tough out, especially in the playoffs too, because they've got what the Jays have too. That rotation, that would frighten me in the playoffs. I can tell you that.
so under Griff's new rotation, 6-man, modified 6-man with a bunch of 5 men and off days. At Houston, they got 3 games to help bury the Astros, and it's Barrios, Bass, and Bieber, the killer bees in Houston. How appropriate.
Not that again. Yeah.
Yeah. um, the blood clot for Zach Wheeler, that's alarming. Hopefully, he had surgery to repair it, to remove it. Hopefully, he'll be all right for next year, but he's gone. They have a pretty deep rotation already in Philadelphia, and the bullpen is in good hands now.
Yeah, but
How do you think that affects the Phillies' chances?
oh, I think it's debilitating. It really is. Yes, they're still good. Um, Sanchez and like, come on, he's your guy. You know what I mean? And I think that does mean something even beyond just the statistical, or what happens on the field. He's the leader, right? Um, he's your go-to ace. You lose that guy. Oh, I don't know. I mean, especially in that league, that's
Yeah,
a tough road ahead to get to the World Series. So I think that's a bit of a death knell, to be honest with you. But maybe the boys rally around him. I don't know, but I don't know how you overcome it. Did they say he's done?
well, I mean, he had surgery to remove the blood
Right.
clot. There's no way he's coming back in the next month and a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, he's done for the
Okay.
year. But
Yeah.
their
Okay.
bullpen is in good hands.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Would you would you, as a Blue Jays GM for next spring, maybe go out and reacquire a guy who's not going to take a lot, Jordan Romano, just because he's
uh
no longer part of that plans there, and you know what he was when he was with the Jays, and if he's not going to be the closer because Hoffman's here, could he be a useful part?
he is not looking like he can be. And I don't know. I kind of got the sense that the two parties weren't thrilled with each other. You know what I mean? Um, now, I mean, that could be smoothed over, I guess, but um,
You're talking about marriage, are you?
that's right. I know a thing or two about that.
Yeah,
Um, I I don't know somewhere and just find himself again.
yeah,
It's not looking good.
yeah. The Phillies. Imagine if the Wheeler situation had happened like 10 days earlier, before the trade deadline. Dombrowski would have gone out
Yeah,
and
no
acquired
question.
someone. He might have gone out and acquired Shane Bieber.
Shane Bieber.
That sort of thing. So the timing of that was unfortunate also for the Phillies, as well as the human drama of Wheeler himself and
Yeah.
what happened to him. But um, and that timing around the trade deadline reminds me of what may be Ross Atkins' worst trade ever, which was when Bo got hurt. Remember when Bo got hurt like a week before the deadline or 4 days before the deadline? He panicked and reached out to get Paul DeJong from
That
the White
that was
Sox.
one of the worst runs for a shortstop.
Oh my God. And now he's batting cleanup for, I guess, whoever, the White Sox, or wherever he is. I saw him in the cleanup spot.
Well, even the
Great.
very next year, I think he was with Chicago there, and he was just obviously not nearly as incompetent as he was with the Jays. What did he hit for them? Like, did he get one hit or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. And
I
and
mean,
just was not getting the balls, was
yeah,
making bad defensive plays, and holy mackerel,
yeah,
what a
he
terrible
couldn't
day.
have been worse. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
And
stuff
then he
was
goes
bad.
and reestablishes
Yeah,
himself somewhere else. So,
like, as at least he could play in the league. You know what I mean?
right.
Holy smokes, that was
A
terrible.
couple more items here. Your thoughts on just the general concept of the Little League game, the NASCAR game, the Field of Dreams, old ballparks of the Negro Leagues, the World Baseball Classic, and other efforts by MLB to sort of expand the game. What do you think of all of those?
Yeah, no, I mean, sometimes they feel a little tricked up, a little.
Like the race car, the
I
racetrack?
think from a Yeah, that one just doesn't feel right a little bit. But hey, why not? The season is 6 months long, 7 months long, and you got 162 games. I think that's probably what they got criticized for, was not doing enough to reach new fans. So I'm in favor of all these games. It's one game a year. Like you're reaching a different. You are reaching some NASCAR fans, strangely enough, and you are reaching people that younger fans with the Little League World Series. As long as it doesn't get too goofy, and I think the NASCAR one is bordering on that. But hey, anytime you get a different look for a baseball game, sign me up. I'm okay with it. It's within reason. Like, I don't want you playing like it's like sometimes with the NHL. Can we slow it down on these outdoor games a little bit? Sometimes it just loses its uh,
Yeah. I think with regard to the NASCAR, I forget where was it? Talladega? I don't know where it was. But
Bristol.
yeah, Bristol. That's a half mile track, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, there's my knowledge of
yeah,
NASCAR.
yeah.
But I think the fact that Fox also has NASCAR and Fox has MLB was the big factor. There was
For
no
sure.
love between Rob Manfred and MLB and NASCAR that forced that. It was a corporate thing, which brings me back to an earlier discussion that we had about Manfred pointing to the players and going, "Won't it be great to all be on the West Coast and all be on the East Coast?" That's all about television. That's all about the fact that the Cubs can televise at their prime time and,
Yeah,
and not reduce the fee because they play so many games on the West Coast and
right.
it's 2 hours later
You got a
in
smaller
Chicago.
audience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's all about TV partnerships. It's not about making it easier for the players. So that's
agreed.
all, you know. But speaking of that, um, the Blue Jays, other than Santander, they're coming back, and also Jimmy Garcia is not likely to be back,
No.
but they're coming back to health. Is that Jimenez came back in the lineup at second base, and to me, my opinion is that they need their prime players, the players they started the year counting on, especially if they're talented, like Andres Jimenez is defensively. And he's got a bit of a line drive bat. I like his bat more than the numbers have indicated.
Yes, I do.
But do you think that this makes them more of if they're healthy going into the playoffs, into the postseason, that it makes them more of a threat?
Well, it has to. You're just deeper team, right? And I think Jimenez is the key. I know that some people might disagree because, you know, the bat isn't what you would want, but he's so valuable defensively. And I think in the playoffs, um, you know, you've seen it with Cleveland, how important that can be to your pitching staff. He's invaluable. You got other guys that need to carry the load offensively. So they're just a deeper team. The issue is going to be the bullpen, Griff. Um, you know,
Yeah.
missing Garcia is a big deal. Um, it's just a big deal. I'm not sure you can count on Sir Anthony and Varland and that motley crew of lefties if with Lauer's down there even. It's there's no guy. There's no big lefty guaranteed get a guy out guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
There's no lefty specialist out there.
but nobody's perfect. In today's baseball, mediocrity rules the day. So it's not like other. It does. Like there's no major super teams. I mean, the Dodgers should be, but I don't know what the hell's going on there. But
Well,
um,
just to wrap up, with the Dodgers, and we just talked about the Jays returning to health. It seems like the Dodgers returning to health makes them the dominant shadow hanging over October, because all of a sudden some of their starting pitchers, and they had 12 starting pitchers that should have been regular starters in the majors, and they seem to know that a bunch of them were going to get hurt. But when you get guys like Glasnow coming back, when you get all the pitchers, quality guys, Blake Snell, does that make them like a prohibitive October favorite just for the National League? Because the Padres had a 1-game lead over them, and then all of a sudden they play each other 3 games and the Dodgers sweep and seem arrogant doing it.
yeah, well, the Dodgers are the best team. Like now, playoffs are a crapshoot. You never know. But they are the best team. They will go into the playoffs as the betting favorite. You know that. So there's a reason for that. So yeah, if they get healthy, you don't want to face them. That's for sure. So they're the best team in baseball. They just haven't played like it. Just don't let Ohtani pitch in Colorado anymore.
Right. So we will wrap this up now and plead with Jays fans not to be so angst-ridden, because we've outlined the road to the postseason and the road to first place, and it is in their hands. They're not
Yeah,
guaranteeing that they're not going to go 13 and 18 or
20.
whatever,
Yeah,
13 and 20. But with that rotation, 5 or 6, extra rest, or on a 5th day, with that rotation, they should not go into any prolonged slumps. They would need the teams behind them. They need the Red Sox or Yankees to pass them in the standings, and then 3 other teams to also pass them, not to be on the dance floor in October. So we're fairly confident that if they play even mediocre baseball, that with that group, that they should be dancing in October. So with that note of optimism, and we're recording on the off day, heading into Miami for the 3-game weekend with an available Eric Lauer, not in the bullpen, but
nope,
out of
not
the
in the
bullpen.
bullpen. He should
We
not go
will,
down there at all until he
we
has to.
will thank you all for listening, and thank you, Mal, for
Hap-
co-hosting, and we will talk at you next week.
Happy
Thanks,
Shane Bieber
everybody.
Day, Friday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Talk to you later.
Yep.